So, good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today, especially people who are from Delhi, Gurgaon. Yeah, it is a little cold. So, I'm really delighted to welcome you all for today's online session. And it's so of you must be joining from your home. I really appreciate all of you taking your time to be here. So, before I introduce today's session, so just let me set the context. Um, this session, as you know, is organized by iDreamCareer, IDC, we call it IDC. IDC is India's largest career navigation platform, if you people are already aware of it. Now, we see that school journey, IDC is mainly into career counseling. We are very, very passionate about guiding students to carve their career path. And when we say career journey, then I think the most important part of the career journey is the school journey. And this career journey is so closely, and I should say, it is just weaved into the life journey. So that, both of them have to be integrated when we are talking about life. And when we talk about schools, the first thing which comes to mind is academics, extracurricular, co curricular activities. And when we say academics, oh my God, academics means exams, isn't it? Exams are considered as the backbone of our education system. Looking at the Indian education system, exams have a lot role to play. And when we talk about exams, and especially board exams, I see that all discussions are focusing on how to do best in the exam, how to score best, how to learn the best test taking strategies. And what I strongly believe that, along with all this, it's very, very important to learn the uh, how the various strategies that how to handle stress that is created around exams. Parents and students sometimes feel confused that, whether I should be scared of board exams, whether I should not be scared of board exams. It is just another exam. And parents feel confused that whether I should be with my child helping him to study, or should I just allow him to be independent. So, as far as today's session is concerned, today's session is a special opportunity for parents and educators to come together, share insights, and collaborate in a shared mission of supporting the growth and development of our students. And as we all know, the partnership between parents and educators is very, very crucial. And especially in times like this, when our children are facing new challenges and opportunities in their learning journeys. So, as parents, your child's first teachers, and your involvement in their education is just. And educators, on the other hand, create that framework and provide the tools that empower students, to reach out to their full potential, because teachers are also dealing with the students on day-to-day basis. So together we form a very, very powerful team, and by sharing our experiences and concerns and strategies, we can better equip our students for success. And, that's the main objective of all parents, that they really want their children to do well in life, both academically, and I think in today's world it's very, very important to look after their emotional well-being also. So in this session we will explore ways in which both parents and educators can play an integral role in guiding and nurturing students through their academic challenges, whether it is during exams, before exams, after exams. So, we will discuss strategies for fostering emotional well being, creating a conducive learning environment for them, developing strong communication systems, that will help build up this entire support system in the present ecosystem. So, to do all this, today we have Mimansa with us. I will quickly introduce Mimansa. And before I introduce Mimansa, I would like to request Lalita to run a poll, because I would like to see how many parents and teachers are here. How many of you are parents, teachers, or students, or principal, or career counselor? Okay. Okay. Still 10 people are left. I think one must be me only. So most of the participants are educators, and I think Mimansa, this will give us an idea that whom are we talking to. And in fact, not to forget that all educators are parents also. Most of the educators are parents, not all. So we will talk about various things from everybody's perspective, so that all of us have some takeaway from this session. So now we can end the poll. Lalita, once you feel that everybody has responded, then you can end the poll. And I will continue introducing Mimansa, who is a guest speaker today. Mimansa Singh Tanwar is a clinical psychologist with the Department of Mental Health and Behavioral Sciences at Fortis Healthcare. She completed her graduation in psychology from Lady Shri Ram College for Women and her MA in clinical psychology from Faculty of Arts, New Delhi, Delhi University. She pursued her MPhil in clinical psychology from MIT University. She is a licensed clinical psychologist with RCI, that is Rehabilitation Council of India, as an experience of 14 years working in the clinical space, using evidence based treatments with adolescents, parents, couples, and family. She's also a trained dialectical behavioral therapy from Behavioral Tech Research Institute, USA, that is widely applicable in treating various kinds of mental health issues. At present, she heads the Fortis School Mental Health Program. She has been instrumental in shaping, designing, implementing various modules and key initiatives, which include the peer mentoring based life skill modules, self sustaining anti bullying campaigns, and the counselor forums for school counselors to enhance skills with the latest advancements in the field. With a strong emphasis on preventive mental health, and skill building, Mimansa has authored several books: Raising Confident Children, a book on parenting with Rupa Publications, and Talking About Mental Health in the Classroom, a mental health curriculum for teachers, published by Macmillan Education India. So, teachers who are attending here, they can make a note of it. She has also written two e readers during COVID-19 for the community. By the name of Don't Worry, here is how you can keep your mind fit during a pandemic, and 21 tips for 21 days how to engage your children while working from home. I think that is so much needed by many young parents. And she has been invited to share her views on various national and international platforms. So thank you once again, Mansa, for being here and taking time out, to talk to our parents, educators, and students. I'm leaves us with valuable insights and practical tips for whoever is here. As parents, we will have some tips to support, our children. So let's make the most of the time together, audience. And here, I will invite now Mimansa to start.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure here interacting along with you, with educators, parents, and counselors from all parts of India where you all have joined from. If there is at all a lag in my internet, do let me know, because I was getting slight lag while this was going on. So if there is at all anything, do point it out in the chat box, and I'll try and make some arrangement over there. Um, so when we talk about examinations, I think it's been quite some time that we have been hearing conversations around how examinations and approach needs to be a little different. We've been talking about how we need to make exams a stress-free period. Government has been doing so much work. There has been so many other changes that have happened from various key board and board examinations related changes. Yet, when we look at and we ask students what is the key area that gives them the most stress, or perhaps if we can say fear, is still examinations. So I believe that conversations need to be there, but these conversations become redundant if we do not take back some of what we discuss in any session and translate into something that can actually have an impact in our lives and the lives of the students or children that we are with. Because in most of these conversations, I think the focus goes a lot more on what change a student can make, what change a child can make, unless we talk about what change an educator and perhaps a parent needs to make in our own approach when we talk about examinations. Because if we look at it, I think it's for years, the narrative continues to be the same. Examinations still continue to be the monster of our lives. The moment 10th and 12th comes in, it still ends up being the make or break situation for any student. Even today, I was just talking to this grade 12th student who was so anxious about the fact that whether she will get into the top college that she's applying for or not, despite having secured in a decently well college already before her board examinations. But that's not good enough for her. And so the aspirations and the pressures and the societal expectations and the expectations that students end up creating for their own selves is just at a different level. And this is where we have to understand what we need to change in the narrative that has been built in for so many years. Why is it that we still place so much of importance on any kind of the name of a college or institution, let's say, for that matter? Why do we still continue to place so much importance on the fact that if you go to so and so college, or perhaps a tuition center, or perhaps any other kind of a place outside of what a student does, that's how you will get a particular score or not? Why do we still continue to place, even though we say that examinations is something that needs to teach you and it paves a path for your career ahead, yet we give so much importance to the outcome, which is actually not even in the hands of a child or a student? On any given day, if I have to ask you all, where all of you would have done at least some entrance examination or something, or even your board examinations, you had a bad fever that day, let's say, or you had a bad stomach ache, or there was some death in the family that happened. How do we say that that does not have and sometimes an impact on some of us? Some of us may have the ability to actually resist that and still be in the present moment and give our examinations to the best. But for some of us, it can actually also impact us. So these are also some uncertainties of life that we do not keep into consideration, nor do we teach children on how to handle these uncertainties of our day to day life. And which is where it's important to understand our role, whether we are an educator or a parent, and we actually end up playing all both these roles together. Because if you're a parent, you will still teach your child. If you're an educator, you will be a parent as well, or maybe you will become a parent at some point in time. Or even the fact that a student is going to come to you and ask you about so many things, you will play that, secondary parent role in some way or the other, because you will motivate them, you want them to do well. In both these roles, the important aspect is our approach. How are we able, and specifically in today's time, where we, for knowledge and for information, we are competing with things like AI, where the moment a student wants to learn something, find an answer to something, all they have to do is just Google, and they will find the latest links and the latest research articles or the historical research for that particular topic that they are reading or they want to know about. What role do we play in times today? And which is where our role as a mentor, as a guide, who's able to contain a lot of this anxiety, who's able to pave a path ahead for them, where we are able to instill that self belief, a lot of the life skills, is where we can make a difference. So, if a child is coming to me and if a child doesn't feel that it's not just about the marks, but it's also my approach to their overall well being that comes in my communication towards them, which means, am I also asking them questions about or trying to understand about various other forms of stress in their life? So the example that I was giving right now about this class uh, 12th student who came to me in the morning, bright student, doing pretty well, and has been doing pretty well in her examinations till now. But next week onwards, her exams are going to start. She's not able to concentrate. The reason is not so much about the fact that she's not well prepared, but the fact that something happened in the peer group that disturbed her so much that it has been impacting her concentration and her attention and her ability to perform to the best optimum level. She's so emotionally distressed about what happened over there, and which is why she wanted to first address that, take away the stress of what can she do over there, how much of that is significant, despite knowing the fact that she needs to not pay attention to that, yet it is there on her mind. So let's say if I am a parent and an educator, and if I don't understand the significance of this aspect on how it is going to have an impact on her ability to sit through, do her studying, give herself a little break as well, all of these things that we want her to do, if I don't understand the significance of how it is impacting her, then I will not be able to help her. I will still continue to say my cliches of just ignore what happened right now. This is what your examinations are coming in. You just need to focus on that. Try to ignore it. And ignore is such a misused and overrated word. I mean, let's say, for example, some of you had fight with your boss, or maybe a fight with your spouse, or fight with somebody in your family, and somebody comes and tells you, "Yeah, ignore it." How are we able to ignore it? It is just there on our mind. Somebody needs to address it for me to feel that, yes, now I can ignore it. So if my emotional distress is not handled at that point in time, and somebody comes and tells me, please ignore it, calm down, and just focus on what you need to say, it's cliched, it doesn't work. And from that point in time, your child or whoever it is will feel this person is not able to help me because they keep giving me the same thing which is not working. So if we are telling our children to do the same thing, which is just focus on your studies, ignore everything else. Just study. These are only 10 days, only 12 days, only 15 days, only 12th grade, only 10th grade is what matters. Just go through this 1 year. Just do whatever you can. Just give in your best and forget the rest. That is not going to happen, and that's not how examinations need to be treated. Examination is a life skill, a skill which teaches us how to deal with certain pressures in life, a skill that teaches us that there needs to be consistency in our efforts that we need to put in throughout the year, a skill that teaches us that even though there is going to be a test day, there are every day where you need to still continue to do your physical examinations also, your watching TV also, you're playing with your friends also, going to the playground also. All of these things are important. Now, so I have a 12-year-old who loves to be in the playground. Since the time she's got into a in grade 5, one thing she's been consistently complaining is all her friends, more than 70% of the time, more than 70% of them of her age groups or senior to her have stopped coming to the playground. More than 70% of them. Reason being, either they are studying or they're going to tuitions, or the fact they have tests, or the fact that they're overscheduled with so many other things that they just don't get the time to be in the playground, which I feel is such an important part of a child's life. If from grade 5 onwards child does not understand the importance of play and loses the meaning and importance of that, we talk about, and the other half of it in any case has been taken away by the gadgets. So if a child wants to be involved into something, is getting bored, or a parent says, okay, take a break, it ends up being the gadget rather than being in the playground and doing whatever nonsensical thing that is possible. Just last week we were talking about the importance of having that wait, that patience for something. And which is why what we see in today's time is that a lot of young children are finding it so difficult to manage distress and stress in their day to day lives because our ability to tolerate and frustration or stress is just going by the hook. We don't know how to be able to deal with a stressful situation. So the moment a stressful situation comes in, and this is again another person that I was talking to today, where she said that, whenever I have a fight with a parent, I feel very angry and I feel this and I feel that, and then suddenly I just open Instagram and there is a reel which is so relatable, I feel I've coped with it. Then I have this another fight with a friend, and then I open Instagram and there is some reel or the other coming with a friend fight with a friend, and then I'm able to relate with it. So how has gadget these reels and stories also become so relatable and as a means of coping? It's just surprising. But it's also important to recognize what are the other means of coping, and they do go back to some of these basic aspects of our day-to-day life. So your child needs to play every day. They must have some form of physical exercise in their day-to-day life, whether there are examinations or no examinations. Push your children to go out in the playground and have some time to their own selves to play in their day-to-day lives. A child also needs to know that they may have difficulty in terms of making a schedule. A lot many times what happens is when you are talking to your children and when they say that, we tried to make a schedule but we couldn't follow it, and by the end of it we thought, what's the point of having a schedule? And this is a common issue again that happens with children. And what we end up taking as an approach with our child is, no, but you decided and we sat through and we made this entire schedule. Now the error that happens in making these schedules is, these are fixed schedules, which means you tell your child you will get up at 10 a.m. in the morning, then 11 a.m. you're going to do this, then at 1 p.m. should be done, then at 2 p.m. you need to go back to this, then at 3 p.m., 4 p.m. you have your tuitions. How are we able to go by the clock to be able to do something? Because let's say what happens that a particular um, topic or a subject spills over. A child feels my entire schedule is gone now. So the importance of having or following through the schedule is totally gone. And by the end of it, the child feels 1 day, 2 day, it's not followed, the child feels it's meaningless. So if we are talking about scheduling and consistency, we have to look at the flexible approach in it, which means we take a rough aspect of how much time do we have in the day, the number of hours that we need to spend on, let's say, this particular subject and this particular subject. In that, let's have a few breaks. In these breaks are going to be for how long? So what is an attention span, a normal attention span for anyone? A normal attention span for any one of us is 45 minutes. In that 45 minutes, the peak of the attention actually happens after the initial 10-15 minutes, and then it peaks in the middle 15 to 20 minutes, and then it slightly goes down towards the end of the last 15-20 minutes, and which is why it's important for us to take a break of 10 minutes after 45 minutes. Now the moment you share this with a parent or an educator, they say, but वो तो बैठते ही आधा पौना घंटा है, उसमें लगता ही है कि अटेंशन अब आ रही है, तो फिर वो पौने घंटे के बाद उठ जाएंगे, then how will they study? But we are not being able to understand the science behind it. The science behind it is this, that yes, attention is going to peak in the middle, and then it is going to go down a little in the less, and in the initial it is going to slowly peak to reach its sustained attention. And after that, there has to be a break of 5 to 10 minutes in which we need to decide what a child can do. So no gadgets, because again, once you start reeling, it takes away your time. So a gadget needs to be taken away from the child. Again, a deal that you do with them, a policy that you make with them, that when you are studying for that 1.5 hours, let's have this with us. In those 5-10 minutes, come talk to me. We can eat something. You can listen to a little bit of the music on some other thing, or you can just go take a stroll, maybe jump around from one place to the other, just go towards the balcony, do a little bit of breathing, anything else, just sit around, don't do anything, walk around, take a break of 5-10 minutes because it's just refreshing the mind, and then come back. And come back and sit again for another 45 minutes. So it becomes a span of 1.5 hours with just a 5 to 10 minute mental break that a child is having. But if you actually see it, it's 1.5 hours that your child is studying a particular topic, where we are able to look at utilization of a good attention span, which enhances their productivity. Now, when you understand this part, that's how you help the child schedule. After 1.5 hours, you ask your child if they need a break for half an hour, 45 minutes, 1 hour, and then whatever you can include in that. A child should also go out, which means playground. Include that into their day to day in their scheduling. A little bit of viewing whatever they want to view, either on screen, gadget, TV, whatever it is. Include that also, because ultimately a child would want to do all of this. Talking to a friend, include that. Have the child include all of this along with their studying and education, and let the child choose that maybe today I have extra work and extra homework, maybe I can give away this. So it's not you choosing, it's the child making that choice, and a responsible choice that, I don't think so I can give that much time to this particular aspect, and I can give away this part because I have this extra work and I have this exam, so I need to do this extra studying. Let that be there, because then the child's motivation will automatically be there. Prior to examinations, when we stop some of these things, that you should not do your extracurriculars, you should not do all of these things, again doesn't help, because we are building a lot of pressure. And even though we don't want to talk so much about results and exams, we do end up doing that. Every child needs that break. So for all the parents who end up taking a break from the office because it's your child's examination and not your examination, you should not be doing it. Whether it is boards or no boards, please do not take any leaves from your office just because your child's exam is there. In fact, tell them to maybe call you for extra hours. Your child will still be able to manage. We still get a lot of calls on the helpline saying, I am still okay, but I think my parent needs a little help because they are very anxious about the fact that I have an examination tomorrow and they're not being able to sleep and I really want to sleep. So maybe if you can help my parent, that will be really great. And we tell them, yes, of course, please pass on the phone. Maybe we'll be able to help them somewhat. So always remember, it's your child's examination and not yours. Yes, it is about us. And it's about us in the sense them and you, and not you against them. And that's where we end up making a lot of these errors, because then we end up being preachy and we being prescriptive, and the child doesn't want to hear you, and the child wants to just be in their room, and a child doesn't want to either go to a parent or an educator or whoever to talk about what's happening. The other thing, which I was also talking about, our role. How do we play a role of a mentor over here? If our approach towards our work is that I have to do this job because this is my job, and I have to do this job because I have to bring basics into my life, bread, whatever, everything on the table. If my approach to my work is going to be with this particular aspect, the same thing is going to come into my conversation to my child or my student, which means I am going to tell the student, you have to do this because you have to score, and that's how you'll be able to make or break your career in life. We are not being able to tell them the fact that why one needs to be a curious learner, why it is important that beyond the fact that you're a student, it's also about how you enjoy what you're studying, how you're able to then pursue your passion, how you're then able to make a change in whatever aspect of life you want to make a change, and look at it from that particular aspect. So if my approach is going to be, you have to do it because this is your job, that's how I am going to also approach it to a student, that this is what you have to do, you have to score well. And we end up then giving a lot more importance again to our subject than to anything else. So if a child is talking to you about any subject matter, and no matter which subject teacher you are, it's the aspect of how can I take that extra time out or the effort to just contain the child's anxiety about appearing an examination. I can be any subject teacher, but it's about the practical assistance that I can give them. And that's what matters at that point in time. And this is where you become just a mentor and a guide, because you're able to contain that anxiety. So looking and identifying that signs of stress, seeing when the child is overthinking about marks, helping them understand and shift their attention to the effort part, helping them break down for them where is it that they can seek help for from whichever subject teacher it is, how much of the marks is not so much of an importance, but whatever you've done, rather than making it any last minute tradition of what they can and what they cannot do, putting in just a lot of confidence with what they have done and just going ahead with it. and helping them also understand the fact that this is not the only examination in your life. There are going to be multiple more that are going to come in, and maybe if you're not satisfied with how you've approached it right now, approach it a little different next time. And that's where we can have a discussion, we can have a conversation. So it's how we are able to instill that self belief and confidence, even though the child is less prepared, even if the child is feeling that I'm well prepared but very anxious. All of this can be handled in a very realistic, practical way where you say, let's not just focus on the score, but let's just focus on what you've done and what you've prepared, and just have that kind of an approach and expectation and do your best with whatever you've done. And we learn from this, whatever you get and you experience, and then go on to what needs to be done next. A lot of in between conversation that happens about, if you don't do this, then you will not be able to get this. If you don't do this, then you will become this in your life. If you don't do this, then this will happen out of your life. You will not be able to make. All of these conversations is something that we must avoid, because then we are again creating a certain image and an impression in in a child's mind, where we are saying that you have to do this and you again have to score this and you have to have this outcome, otherwise your life is just going to go down the drain. And that's not motivating at all. I think in the deepest of times, you need somebody to instill that self belief that, even if it's bad, you will still be able to survive this. And that's where we need to bring in our role as a mentor, as a guide, whether we are an educator or a parent. Now, just to summarize this, I think what we need to understand, one is our role, the change and approach we can bring while we are having these conversations with our children, our students. A child is going to come to us with different kind of stressors. We must recognize different sources of stress rather than just only focus on academics as the only way to work around, because there are a lot of other stress that can affect their academics, their performance, and we must understand that it also happens to us. We must focus on how to build stress tolerance skills in children. And some of the key aspects over here, which I have been talking again and again, is the fact, one, let any day of their life be as usual as it can be. So they must include play, sports, friends, going out, social life, all of these things. Because examination is also like any other day. Second, if you recognize that your child does struggle in terms of being able to manage things emotionally, then that's where you help them. You give them some skills to be able to control their impulses, to be able to see what can they do when they feel very anxious. Let's say, for example, helping them write the thoughts that they are having, and then you see where is it that you can motivate them in a different way, and they're able to see these thought as only thought, which can happen to any one of us, because in a fearful situation we can all have some of these negative thoughts. If a child is finding it very difficult to manage their anxiety before examinations, ask them, and in any case, before examinations, nobody should study. So ensure that none of your children are studying, or your students are studying before examinations, waiting in the exam hall. They must just go, instill that confidence, self belief in them, ask them to just do it. And then once they come back, never ever discuss that question paper with them. After all the examinations are done, only as a part of learning, do it. Otherwise, no. Third, anxiety can also be handled with deep breathing exercises. Anxiety and stress can also be managed with a lot of positive strokes that you end up giving to student and to children. And positive strokes again comes down to instilling self-confidence and self-belief in them. And when it comes to gadgets, somewhere working around with them in terms of setting that time limit for them for the use of these gadgets. And which is why, because every child needs some stimulation, if you're able to push them out of the house to do a lot of these physical exercise, a lot of our worry about them just using gadgets for a way of coping and so many other things can be actually handled and managed. Despite that, if your child is having a lot of stress and is showing signs of anxiety, worry, avoidance for examinations, please reach out to a counselor, to a psychologist, to a mental health professional, because then this may be coming in because the child is having some kind of an anxiety related illness. And which means that no matter what we are doing, the child is having a lot of panic, is not able to sleep, It's impacting their appetite, it's impacting their ability to do any other thing, and they're wanting to avoid it more and more. Even with your support, even with your push, they're not being able to manage it. Then please reach out to a mental health expert. It's absolutely okay to talk to them. They're not scary. I don't look scary. So I hope, yeah, so this is where I would bring my session to the end. And please feel free to ask any questions.
Thank you so much, Mimansa. And I think your last line is the key line, that many a times, even students feel that, if I ask for help, that means I'm not good enough.
Mm.
And as parents, sometimes, we start evaluating ourselves as parents, that maybe I'm not a good parent, that my child needs someone else's help. So I think it's very, very important to, believe that it's okay to ask for help. There's nothing wrong with us as parents, in fact, and like I'm a counseling psychologist as well. But when it came down to my own child, I remember that, when I used to teach him, when he was young, and after a while he said, Mama, you don't need to be with me, I'm okay. And in fact, I think he did well when he worked on his own, because maybe when we are teaching as parents, we are trying to help them, okay, I will help you in making a schedule, but we are doing everything according to us. We forget that we need to work according to the child. So I think that is the key point, and I personally have a lot of takeaways from whatever you said, and I will just say those 2 3 lines, and I will request people to raise their hand. If they have questions, I will. You can always unmute and you can ask. I think another very important thing which you highlighted is that we have to change the narratives. Narratives, how have we introduced exams to our kids? I think all the while we keep saying, अरे 10th में आओगे ना तब पता चलेगा, बोर्ड एग्जाम्स है, अभी तो तुम मस्ती कर लो, 11th में मस्ती कर लो, 12th में बोर्ड एग्जाम्स हैं, तब पता चलेगा. और जब वो एग्जाम्स होते हैं तो हम उन्हें कहते हैं, अरे अरे कोई बात नहीं, एग्जाम्स ही हैं. सो you cannot play around with students mind, children mind, so many times. So I personally really have learned that. And the most important thing which you highlighted was the kind of life skill. So exam as a life skill, that is very, very insightful, Mimansa. I really liked when you said that. And that's so true. We learn so many things. Persistence, ability to deal with failure, ex- it's just, I think, that kind of dialogue which happens, with the parent.
Mm.
So I hope now people are ready with their questions. So please raise your hand, and I will say your name, and then you can unmute and ask any question.
May I?
Yes, please.
Yeah. Hello, everyone. Hello, ma'am. And it's really very beneficial. And I'm Dr. Sunanda Shukla from Mekaina School, Indore. And I just want to ask one question. Actually, many parents came to me in this manner. Actually, they are coming to me in this manner that their child is not listening and they are not, taking away their gadgets. And they are too much involved themselves in social media. Even a kind of addiction is there. And they are not quite sincere regarding their board exams. So how we can, or matlab, how parents can help them in this manner? Please guide us.
So see, I mean, I was giving the example of this, today's conversation that I had with this kid who I said that was using Instagram almost like a coping mechanism, right? I mean, fight with a parent and watching a reel would make her feel, relatable and feel a less this thing. I think we cannot have a knee-jerk reaction to this entire social media aspect. We have to understand the fact that, and parents and even as educators, we have to understand the role that social media plays in a young child's life as well, where they are using it for connection, they're using it for a lot of these things. Like I said, why are they watching a meme or why are they watching a reel? It's because they're made in such a relatable form that they do want to see it, and sometimes it does actually help them to um, give them that validation which we are not able to do in a serious way, Because when they see it in a more funny and comical way, they feel, oh, it's not my life, it's happening to so many others. And see, so many other thousands and thousands of other people have liked it and shared it and done so on and so forth. So to take away that cannot be the solution. I think we need to approach uh, gadgets and social media in a way where we are able to give them uh, that we are able to give them this aspect of that it's not just during board examinations, like I said, in 10th and 12th only where we start to shift our attention so much so on the amount of time that they are putting on social media. This needs to be there from the start. And parents who tend to struggle a lot in terms of being able to create a boundary is because you've actually missed the bus where you could have handled it a lot better earlier on. So it needs to happen where there are times when, even as young parents, and including myself, we would end up using that as a means to distract the child, as a means to occupy the child, as a means to do a lot of those things, that it has become such a normal aspect of their day to day life. And the moment it comes in around their board examinations or their entrance examinations, we say, oh, now you're wasting your time on this. But for all these years that we continue to give them, what about that? So we've certainly nurtured their need, we fed into their needs, we've done all of that. So I told the parent, even for today's this thing is, I said, right now don't focus on the aspect of how much time she's spending so much on social media. She's using it for different purposes. Ignore that part. Just focus on the aspect of where she needs your help in terms of learning, in terms of the fact that she's stressed out. What kind of conversation can you have with her? How can you ease her pressure? How can you ease her anxiety? That is what is more important than telling her and adding to her pressure that this all this is happening because you're spending so much time on social media. That's not going to help. Hmm? So we have to take away the aspect of social media and the kind of significance that it ends up playing both in our minds as a parent and as an educator, and even a child's mind. We are actually giving it a lot more significance when we do that. You have less conversation about it and you have more meaningful conversation in terms of where you're able to comfort the child, you're able to ease the child, you're able to take care of their anxiety, their stress, you're being more supportive. Automatically its significance goes down.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
One more thing I would like to, and after listening to you, Mimansa, what happens, because when the child has a phone, nowadays I see there is another trend among students, that they want to put it on Insta or whatever social media platform they are using, that how they are doing.
Hmm.
So, that becomes of the topmost priority rather than actually finishing the syllabus.
Hmm.
That, I studied till 3, I studied till 2, or I have finished this much, maybe they have not finished. But just to create that social image, I think that is also very, very scary, and which we need to look into. And what do you say, Mimansa? I would like to have your views, and Dr. Sunanda also, because you're already in school. Will it help if we teach students that how to responsibly use the social media platform, not only during exams but otherwise? Does it really help, or still there is an abuse?
No, I think there is no substitute to the fact that we have to start media literacy skills from a
Mm,
young age, and which is where we have to understand that yes, government is doing whatever they are doing, and we've just recently heard about ban on social media below the age of 16 years in Australia, and our
mm,
government also in that the act of DPDP, sorry, in which they are including certain aspects of parental control, consent, and a lot of other things that they are doing below the age of 16 years. All that is coming in, but merely a ban cannot be a solution in itself, because social media and I mean, let's take an example. Till the age of, at least in our context, in our culture, till the age of, let's say, 12 to 13 years, largely children have access to social media or gadgets through us. Hmm?
mm,
And we do end up giving them it for various purposes. And the moment they reach, let's say, 8th grade onwards, every parent has a different approach to it. Some parents are a lot more eased out in giving a child their own gadget. Some may still have a conservative approach. We are still not fighting a larger global aspect of where in a Western culture the phone or the gadget as an ownership comes it at a very young age. We still tend to delay it as much as we can. But yes, what we can see is by the grade of 7th or 8th, some students and some children, you will find that they will have their own social media account, they will have their own gadgets. Let's say, an unused phone is there and it ends up being a child's phone in some form of the other, and that does happen. So, something which is such a normal part of our life, we don't even realize when it becomes so normal for a child as well, and which it is because they are born in in this time where they see it all around them. So we have to understand the aspect of which I say is something as simple as we continue to keep talking about a healthy diet. We say junk food itna hi hona chahiye, itna hi allowed hai, iske beyond is unhealthy for you. So why can't we talk about that with the same aspect when we talk about engagement with social media or screen time? That have this much of the day. Beyond this, it's going to only give you more mind block. It's only going to take away so many other things from your life. It is going to just exhaust you a lot more. So many other things that comes in as an added part. And along with that, another challenge in today's time. So my 12-year-old now, when she wants to look at a difficult word and find meaning of it, rather than using a dictionary, uses a Google. So the entire aspect where you would search for a word and you would find different other meanings, different words, not just one word, goes on Google and look for it. When I tell her don't do it, and she says, I go to my tuition teacher, she also says, why don't we use Google? It's so easy. So who all are you going to, stop, and where are you going to stop? That's where it comes in. So I tell her, okay, fine. Sometimes let's also use dictionary, and sometimes Google is fine. When you want to find something quickly, fine, go over there. But let's not lose the significance of dictionary in our life because they still exist and they exist for use. So whenever she's with me, we still use the dictionary. Whenever she's on her own, of course, it's there. So I can't fight that. I mean, I also go on Google and sometimes try and find so many other things. But it's just that how can we preserve the importance of some of the old things that were there to maintain a balance of these new things that are coming in their life and continuing to maintain the meaningfulness of what we had as well in our times.
That's so insightful, Mimansa. So, Dr. Sunanda, any other question you have?
Yes, ma'am. Your voice is not clear actually. Some phone was ringing there, and after that, voice is not clear.
Okay, Mimansa, am I audible to you?
Yeah.
Okay. So, any other question, audience? Sunanda ma'am, I think now I'm audible to you as well. Okay.
One more thing I just want to add, ma'am. I just counsel the parents as well as students that set the time limit, as Mimansa ma'am told us, that set a time limit of the social media account. And I just told them that take it as a motivation also. Once you complete your syllabus, once you finish your study for the as per the schedule you decided, and just give half an hour or 1 hour for spend 1 hour for on social media. So it takes the motivation also to in this manner, students are ready to do the work. So I'm doing in this manner also, ma'am.
Okay. Thank you. Yes, Sapna ma'am, you can go ahead.
Hi, good evening, everybody. So my question is, I have a colleague whose daughter is in class 9th, and she's like academically pretty bright, but then she's pretty chilled out about she manages a 70%, which she's happy with. And she refused to study during the examination. The mother gets more stress, as you say, like a parent. But this child doesn't even accept the help. Like, for example, I'm a teacher. So if I ever say that you need a help in the subject that I teach, she's not happy. I mean, she's okay. She said, no, I don't need any help. So how do you deal with a child who herself, because I often tell her, I said, Beta, I understand that you can manage, but you need in the college, you would need a transcript that will talk about your grades in class 9, 10th, 11th, and 12th. So you can't study last minute and say, I'll manage. So this child is not happy to accept help also.
And where is the challenge
Ma'am,
that you're facing?
Uh, Come again? I'm so sorry, I didn't hear you.
What is the challenge that the child is facing?
She's academically pretty bright. She's happy with a 70%. She's not studying. Even before examination, she looks pretty relaxed. She doesn't study. She manages this 70% without even like studying properly. So just she'll look into the books, etc. So the mother is really stressed about, okay, how will things go in case next year she'll go in class 10th. So how will she cope up with that academic stress? The board talks about examination. In our school, Marx speaks about your academic or acumen. So I don't know, how can I offer help to a child who doesn't want help? That's my question.
You can't, because the child needs to feel that they need help. Or it could also be the fact that sometimes the child starts to, and so what you're looking at in this child is the child, because the child is bright, is able to manage things last minute. So there is that confidence that the child has in being able to sail through and survive something in a good enough way towards the end. I think it's only in some of these aspects a child takes a lot more time to recognize that there could be a pattern they may be following in, and we can't really impose that kind of help towards them until this child recognizes that there is a problem that is happening. Now, sometimes with bright kids, they also tend to procrastinate a lot more because they want to reach to the best possible outcome that they can have. In that thing, to be able to manage the best possible outcome, they actually end up subperforming because they are doing it last minute only. Now, we don't know if that is the case with this child, but this is something that I'm only telling you with several students which I have seen who are bright but are only able to do sub performance level work, merely because one, either it could be an emotional stress at home, or it could also be the aspect of the fact that the child right now is not recognizing that this is a problem in itself, where they're not able to push themselves to work or prepare beforehand and are only reaching it to the last minute. But you can't do anything in this situation. Child needs to recognize that yes, this is a problem. Only when this will become a problem for them. Till that time, I mean, they manage how they manage. And I understand as a teacher, you may feel that the child has a lot of potential and can do better in life. But I think it's just sometimes we have to allow children to also recognize that aspect.
Thank you so much. I often have a lot of friendly conversation with her to understand where is the problem. Or would I say not even a problem, what is the reason why she doesn't study? But I haven't inferred anything. Maybe I'll continue with conversations with her. Thank you so much.
Perfect.
And maybe, Sapna ma'am, you can start talking about, what does she want to do in life? Maybe once she finds that connection between the academics and the career journey, maybe some motivation will be there.
I've already actually spoken. She's very in athletics. So I often tell her, I said, don't leave it. It's pretty de-stressing. Like in case if you ever feel stressed, she said, you look more stressed than I look. So that's it. Thank you so much.
Okay. Yes, Sutapa ma'am, please go ahead.
Yeah, good afternoon, ma'am. Mimansa ma'am, thank you so much for having such an insightful session with all of us. Now, I'll ask a question to you as a parent of a 12th grade. My daughter, she's studying in 12th grade, and her subject combination is biology, physics, and chemistry. So, by PC, she's studying. She often faces this exam anxiety. And just let me say that I stay in Hyderabad. So, and she goes to a coaching institution, so where they prepare the children for this entrance examination. So I understand that it is a very rigorous training process, and I really I'm very friendly with her. But the problem is, what is happening? She doesn't performing well. And actually, till 10th grade examination marks, when you see got a very good marks, 95% in 10th grade board exam. But compared to 10th, 11th, and 12th, portion is huge, content is huge. They need to study a lot. Moreover, after having this rigorous training session for the entrance exam, so the end of the day, she is very drained out. Okay, so and she shared this that I'm not able to cope up very well. But at the same time, when I asked her that, do you need any help? That means last 2 years onwards, I was asking her, shall I appoint a tuition teacher? She always said no. If required, I'll be able to manage. At the same time, she procrastinates a lot. But now I'm not very much sure because last few exams, what she is doing, as her college is calling for this because the revision test they're keeping. So she's going. Last exam she had gone to her college. She wrote that exam, but she didn't fill her name and roll number in the OMR so that we are not able to see the marks.
Hmm.
So now I don't know that as a parent, what shall I do? Shall I take her to a mental health expert nearby? Or because she says that no, I don't need any help. So that I just seek your opinion too.
Hmm. How many hours of the day is she studying?
She studies, ma'am. She sits with the book, but
Hmm.
sits with the book doesn't always mean that she studies.
Hmm.
That
And
I
how many
understand.
hours?
And
Okay.
she uses the gadgets also. She goes through the reels. What you all said just now, you said that that is also a coping mechanism for her. That I know.
Hmm. And how many hours apart from just sitting with the book is she able to take out to, let's say, go out, have a walk, or maybe take some time off um, with
She
her?
takes some time off after every 1 hour she comes out because I also told her that at least take 10 to 15 minutes break after 1 hour.
Hmm.
And some days, not every day, but some days she goes down. Like yesterday she had gone down. It is not for playing because in our apartment her age group children is not there,
Hmm.
but I tell her that okay, Jo, just go take a round, talk to your friends who are nearby, chat with them, and then come. So,
Hmm.
but she doesn't do it every day, but
Hmm.
she tries to do it as much as possible, but not every day is possible.
Hmm. So, see, what we are seeing over here is that the child has started to already feel the sense, a lot of pressure with the way the in the race that she's running right now.
Hmm.
Given that from 10th, the moment we get into 11th and 12th, and then there is a coaching where everybody is running for the same competitive examination, we all start to feel that, we are running this race where there is a lot of this pressure of exams, cracking the entrance, doing a lot of these other things. And it's natural without even knowing for any student to just keep thinking about that. So even a break doesn't become a break.
Hmm.
Even if she's going out and if she is going for a stroll, she would be thinking still or maybe revising something or doing something in her mind related to her academics, is quite possible. Procrastination happens when something becomes too heavy for us to get through. Procrastination happens when we begin to fear failure in our mind, something we start to perceive as a failure. What if, again, in her case, would be what? Not being able to crack a certain examination, not get into a college, so on and so forth. So, if you have to handle procrastination and if you have to handle her performance related work, your conversation needs to go a lot more in terms of how she needs to break out of this cycle, which, and for any one of us, even for us in our times, we would have gotten into this cycle. And right now, you're being able to observe that and ask her these questions rather than immediately jumping on, this is what you must have been going through, this is what must have been happening to you, this is what you should be doing. So the moment we end up being prescriptive, the child doesn't share. So ask her where her challenge may be. Are you thinking a lot about your exam, your results? Are you thinking a lot about marks? Are you thinking a lot about which institution? Are you thinking a lot about that? So when you get that, then you would know that where you need to ease the pressure out. So sometimes when she's going out, go along with her, go for a walk, talk about something else so that her mind goes away from studying.
Okay.
That's one example.
Actually, yeah, what I also sometimes realize that she has lot of self expectations about that she never thought that she will not be able to performing. Okay, because she kept herself as a good student always. Now when she is not able to reach that expectation, she is feeling guilty, as well as she has that anger on herself, that okay, why am I not able to do. Now to ease her about the from this pressure, I told her, me and my husband both, I've said that okay, see, this is now, NEET is not only the career, and it takes a lot of time to get established. There are so many other subjects. You can study biology. You like biology, you study biology. Even she likes painting a lot. So in that is also her now when she gets very stressed, what she does, she takes up small papers and then she draws that sketches. So that is a very distressing job for her. So and as she is very interested, we filled the form for this entrance examination for this B designing and NIFT also. I said that okay, if you want to go to this career, you forget about this, you don't have to go for this NEET and this entrance examination, you can choose anything. I'm keeping everything open, whatever suits for you, go ahead. But the problem is, she I understand that she doesn't share everything. What is going on her mind, that I don't get it all the time. I think this is a very typical problem of the teenager parents, that adolescent kids, that most of the parents are facing nowadays. And to add that, actually, I have twins, so my son is also there, but he has also the same type of problem, but he has better coped with this, but compared to her. uh, he set some boundaries, and he thought that okay, if I am able to do crack that entrance examination, it's fine. If I don't do also, something will happen. Some But she is not in that manner. That means she bottles up within her mind many things. That is my major concern right now.
And no two kids can ever be same, no matter even if they're twins. So
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
very
Yeah, true.
I think Meenu ma'am will be able to help you more with that. You've
No, I will just say that just go with the flow, like Mimansa said, and please don't compare them. Sometimes, unknowingly we are passing this message to the child also, that he's so different and you are so different. He tells me everything, you don't tell. So just keep that in mind, and I think you need to have longer conversation on individual basis with somebody. You can always connect with Mimansa, I think, on individual basis, and try to find out an answer to it. So time has already, we have
Thank you
reached.
so much, ma'am.
Thank you, thank you. So is there anyone else who has a question, because it's already 5:08?
There is one question in the chat box which says that during the preparation time, is it safe to send kids to the playground for major games? Absolutely. No doubt.
Hi,
Uh,
could I pitch in? Sunita Bajaj here.
yes, Sunita ji.
Um, so I don't have a question. I'm a counselor myself, and I was listening to this parent talk, and poor thing, she's so stressed. If you allow me, can I give her a suggestion?
Please go ahead.
Okay, thank you. I don't know what the name of the parent was, but ma'am, I would like to say that I've been at it for about 30 years now. We have started using our bodies as how should say, vehicles for the head. The human being was not designed that way. Every part of the body needs to be used for the entire organism to function well, whether it is mental health, whether it is physical health, whether it is academics, relationships, communication, any kind of soft skills that the child is trying to develop, whatever the child is trying to develop. It doesn't have to be only mental. If you encourage your daughter to use the rest of her body through dance, through walking, regularly, physical exercise, you will see very soon that one, she relaxes, two, she gets perspective, 3, her concentration will increase. 4, she will be just happier. Her confidence level will increase. Encourage her to meet her friends like you used to maybe when she was younger, and you set up play dates for her. Find one parent who has a similar issue or who is willing to actually let their child out um, for an hour or two in the evening just to relax and be with another child. Social stimulus, all of this needs to be held in a balance for the child to perform academically. Academics will happen. That will be a natural byproduct of stimulus to the rest of the body. I've seen this not once, multiple times. I've experienced this with my own children. You talk of relaxing, the child is not really relaxing. Mimamsa very rightly pointed out, even when she's walking, she's thinking of studies. Imagine if you were expected to do one activity 24/7. Just imagine. I'm taking a very simple example like cooking. Imagine if you were supposed to cook 24/7. You'd go mad. Anybody would. And that is what we are expecting of our children. Do one activity 24/7 and excel at it. Nobody can excel at it. Everybody needs to do multiple things. So
Thank you
please,
so much.
encourage your child to engage the rest of her body, and academics will follow.
Thank you so much, Sunita ji. You have given a very kind of, perspective from the parent also, how they can change their narrative, as Mimansa was saying, and, change the entire approach. So I think many more questions will keep following slowly and gradually, but we have to give a stop to the session. And thank you so much, Mimansa, for such an insightful session. I myself had a lot of learnings from here. But before I say bye to everyone, I just want to say two lines that as most of you are educators from some or the other school, if you want to introduce career guidance program in your school, as I said, iDreamCareer is into career guidance. So if you want to introduce the career guidance program in your school, or you want to introduce psychometric testing, to mentor your students, to guide your students to choose the careers and courses, then please, you can connect with me. I have left my phone number here in the chat box. You can take it from the chat and you can connect with us. And we can always have an online meeting and we will explain you. So thank you so much, Mimansa, and educators. And I could see that one student, somebody said there is a student also, because the student was asking, I have not done anything. Tell me, what can I do now? So I don't have any answer to it. Mimansa, if you have any answer, then please answer that question. One student, I think, is there who wrote, I have not studied at all. Now, what can I do? So that is not that kind of examination stress can be handled only next year when you repeat the class, if you have not done anything, bache. So but talk to
And
your parents.
just eat as much as you can, because last minute one can't eat too much. Just have whatever you can and just go with that belief that it will still help you to sail through. Just go with that confidence.
Yes, and talk to your parent, talk to the teacher. They are the best people who can give you some last minute tips, and who can help you have to cover up the syllabus at this moment. So don't worry right now. So okay, Mimansa, then we will take leave, and hope to see you in many more sessions on many other topics, because you have got such a diversified skill set and you have dealt with variety of problems. And I know that for parents, not many sessions like these are happening, but iDreamCareer is very committed to the holistic development of students, and we really want to build up that support system along with schools. to give the right kind of guidance to our students. So thank you so much for
Thank
this
you.
session.
Thank you.